All right, hi everyone. Welcome to Bleav in Bills. Adam Bonini, WGRZ TV, and Sal Majorana, the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, who has made it back to his hotel in suburban Boston, back from Foxboro. And Sal, it used to be such that franchise, everything, a place of success and stability. It's anything but. I mean, Jerod Mayo fired like minutes after he left the postgame podium.
Yeah, we were up in the press box by then, and a couple of the New England or the Patriots writers were filtering back, and they didn't know because they'd already left the locker room, and this happened, after he had done his locker room stuff. So they were scrambling. I felt bad for those guys because, you get a coach firing. I think they were all prepared to start working on that tomorrow, but not tonight. Yeah. So it was a little bit chaotic in the press box. Felt bad for them, but why wait, right? I would guess, Adam, that because the fans were booing. The fans were booing Sure. every time the field goal kicker made a kick because they were pissing away the number one pick. And I think a lot of people came to that stadium today hoping the Patriots wouldn't embarrass themselves but lose the game and lock away the number one overall pick, and they didn't do it. So I can't blame players and coaches. Players and coaches don't care. They want to win games. They don't care about the draft next year or anything else. And especially Jerod Mayo, because he probably had a sense he was going to be a one and done. But if you're a Bills fan today, I tweeted this and I got a lot of reaction from it. This was a good day to be a Bills fan. Yeah, your team lost, but a division rival just blew a great opportunity to control the start of the draft. And they probably would have traded that pick away for a bunch of high picks that could help them to start rebuilding around the quarterback they've already got here. So that was a bad day for the Patriots. I don't care.
That's just it. They already have their quarterback in place. And so now, think of the leverage that gives you and the currency in the draft, top overall pick, what you can do to expedite getting quality players, around May. And that they fall into what, 3 or 4 right now, I think is what they said. But
we're still waiting for some of these games, but they're probably only going to get that pick now. I guess they could trade out of that and still compile some picks, but they're probably stuck taking one guy. Whereas if they had the number one pick, they could have turned that into 2 or 3, at least 2 or 3 relatively high picks. So if I was a Bills fan today, I would be celebrating the loss to the Patriots and what it did to one of your arch rivals.
Right, exactly. And one that is at least on its way in terms of the most important and difficult position to identify and acquire, and that's a franchise quarterback. In the meantime, it's a 23-16 meaningless season-ending loss for the Buffalo Bills, who finish up the year at 13-4 and now know the opponent. Denver Broncos emphatically 38-0 over a resting top seed in the Kansas City Chiefs at home. In Denver, and I watched that game, Sal, until CBS cut away from it. It was out of hand in the third quarter, and we had talked about it. Each of these potential opponents presents a unique challenge. Denver's defense is outstanding, and getting a good look at Bo Nix today, understanding what he was going up against with, a Kansas City team resting and all of those things. But, this kid, 26 of 29, 321 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had 1 incompletion in the first half and 1 he should have made. He's a rookie who's well on his way.
Yeah, his start to his career was not very smooth. And I guess we can say that about a lot of rookie quarterbacks. But I was not real high on him, Adam, in his college career. He started at Auburn and then moved to Oregon. And he was on national TV a lot playing for those 2 schools. And I would catch him once in a while, and I was always like, what's the big deal with this guy? Why is everyone always so high on Bo Nix? Because I wasn't really seeing it in college. And when the Broncos picked him, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's better than Russell Wilson down the road probably, but I really wasn't expecting much. And then he got off to the start he did where, he was terrible. He was flat out terrible his first 6 or 7 starts. Well, since then, I ran some numbers, and he's completed this is before today. He had completed 67% of his passes in the last 9 games he played. That's going to go way up, not way up. It'll go up because of what happened in this game. This kid's playing pretty well. Yeah. They've got a few pieces in place around him, not enough, I don't think, to to beat the Bills. I don't think they're going to have enough offense to do it, but they've got their guy, just like New England seems to have its guy. This has turned out to be a pretty damn good class of rookie quarterbacks this year.
Not to mention what they bring defensively, right? And you like to think that the Bills are going to have the ability to solve that. It's just interesting when you're dealing with young talent, right, and young players. You never know how much progress they're going to make, how fast. And it's clear that Nick's is on an upward trajectory. I mean, I like the matchup. We'll spend all week really breaking it down. But so long as the Bills do what they've done and protect the football and, are able to be efficient offensively and with Josh Allen in there and leading things as he has, I like their chances in this game. I mean, I think I like McDermott in that defense, albeit with its shortcomings. You're dealing with a rookie quarterback now, first playoff game in Orchard Park, in a game where they're going to need to score, despite what they bring defensively. I like the Bills in this matchup, but if they're not careful, this is a dangerous team, I guess is the point I'm making.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went through all the three possibilities last week, and I think we both agreed that Denver, you didn't want to see Cincinnati, and I didn't particularly want to see Miami. As it turns out, Adam, that might have been the team because I don't know if Tua was playing, and they just look like they're shot. So they might have been the best matchup maybe. But Denver, I did say it's going to be a tough game for the Bills. That's probably the preferred opponent, but that's going to give them a hell of a test in the wild card round. You could make a case it might be Buffalo's toughest wild card game in the Allen era. I mean, this is a team that I think they're a legitimate defense, as we've seen all season. And, this rookie quarterback, here's the thing with Nix that maybe I overlooked when he was drafted is that he did play a lot of college football. I mean, he started at Auburn at least 3 years, and I think he might have had 2 years at Oregon. I could be wrong, but I think he had a ton. I think he had 5 full seasons because of the COVID year. They got the extra season. He might have had at least 5 full seasons of college football. That's important for a quarterback. That is, Josh Allen had 2 at Division I level, right? This kid's had at least, I think he had 5. So that was definitely a thing that he brings to the NFL. And it looks like now as the season has gone on, he's really tapped into some of the experiences he had. And by the way, he was playing high-level football, SEC with Auburn, and then at Oregon, they were one of the top teams in the country when he was there. So he's played some high-level football. He will be a challenge, more so than maybe I thought he would be, say, a month ago. Yeah,
right. No question. And then one last point here before we move to the Bills in the game at New England today. We had Brian Boldinger on Sports Talk Live in Buffalo a couple of weeks back. Who's now with NFL Network, and he pointed to Denver right away. We talked about Vic Carucci and I were asking him about potential playoff matchups and opponents that could give the Bills a problem. He pointed to Denver early in that conversation, and he pointed to the defensive front, right? And their ability. They had 5 sacks in the game today. They're improving upon a franchise record for sacks out there. So, I mean, they do have the ability to disrupt and get after Josh Allen, who we all know is elusive, but that can be a significant factor in that game. And as we all know, defense travels, right?
Yeah, I watched the game. I watched the game last week against Cincinnati. I obviously didn't see any of today's game. They had 6 sacks against Burrow in that game. Now, Burrow is not as mobile as Josh Allen, nor Carson Wentz not very mobile either. So they piled up some sacks on those guys. I'm seriously doubting they're going to get 5 or 6 on Josh Allen. But you're right. They do bring pressure. And what is really worrisome is they bring pressure, but they've also got terrific DBs. Patrick Surtain obviously is the top corner in football. So they're going to be able to do some things that will give the Bills, I would think, some pause for sure. But we'll see. If they're coming to Buffalo, it's still a rookie quarterback. It's the NFL playoffs. Things ramp up now. So we'll see what he can bring next week. But, yeah, this is not a game. I mean, I saw that Vegas already has the Bills as a 7.5-point favorite. That's already seems pretty high for a game that I think will probably be played in the 20s, right? So giving 7.5 to the Broncos, that might be a bet you want to jump in pretty early on, folks.
The Bills should have their act together. They're going to need to. I think that's the point. we're making. We both like them in that game. All right, let's get quickly a word from the sponsor here. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. The largest selection of odds on everything from football to the NBA, NHL, college basketball, and UFC. Head to Bet Online today, and don't forget to use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, and get a welcome bonus on your first deposit. All right, as I mentioned,
Did you like that segue? Did you like that segue I give you? That little watch to right up to the sponsor read there.
Right.
Talking about the line.
After close to 40 years, you're finally catching on, Sal. You're finally getting it. Good old one take Sal. That's what those broadcast guys call him. He's good for one take, right? So, all right. So let's get into it here. I don't know how much we want to really delve into this. I think there's some factors, and one of them coming out of this loss again to close the regular season, 23-16, is health. You brought it up to Sean McDermott in the postgame. I mean, this is about as healthy as they can expect to be. He kind of knocked on wood, depending upon what might surface tomorrow. But by all indications, which has not been the case in the past entering the postseason, they're about as healthy as they've been under McDermott heading for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice one guy getting attention today. Did you? I mean, I really didn't. I saw a couple Patriots guys. I don't think anybody got hurt for the Bills. Again, you're right. We'll see, things pop up on the next day. But, if anybody was hurt, it was probably a backup because most of the backups were on the field the bulk of the game. I think the starters that you're going to see next week are pretty much ready to go. You got Damar Hamlin back on the field today. He played pretty much the whole game, which was a good idea. He needed the work. Taylor Rapp was back out there, Rasul Douglas, and then they came out. So I think they're good in the defensive secondary, which hadn't been the case for more than a month here. Up front, they were fine. Nobody got hurt on the defensive line. The whole offensive line had the day off, so that's good. I mean, they're as healthy as they've been going into a postseason game. Like I said, maybe as healthy as they've ever been, at least in the McDermott, Josh Allen era here.
And from an offensive standpoint, we talked about that matchup just a couple of moments ago with the Denver defense now in the wild card round. But you're looking at the balance. We've talked about it all season long, right? The balance this team has reflected in some NFL history in the fact that they're the first team with 30-plus passing and 30-plus rushing touchdowns. And, oh, by the way, James Cook gets number 16, ties O.J. Simpson single season back in 1975. When you have a quarterback like Josh Allen and a passing game that's had its issues but has evolved the way it has, and you give them the support of the run like that, I mean, it's like a broken record, but heading to the postseason, especially with two of the games in Buffalo, right? Weather a factor. Hey, I mean, they're going to be tough. They're a handful for anybody.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we talk about Denver's defense being very good. Let's not overlook that Buffalo's offense has been very good this year. And even with the receiving core that I would consider kind of mediocre, Adam. I mean, it's kind of a mediocre group made better by Josh Allen's greatness. They've run the ball tremendously. James, people were talking, I was on Twitter and I made mention that he topped 1,000. Right away, people were like, oh, big deal. It's 59 yards a game. It's not what it used to be. You're right. It's not what it used to be when OJ played and it was 14 games. However, the keynote is he's averaging 5 yards a carry. That's the key number is how much per carry, and he is getting the job done because this is not a team that's going to give him the ball 25 to 30 times. He makes the most of the balls that he gets in his belly. So that's a good sign for the Bills running game. So does Ray Davis and so does Ty Johnson. So the Bills have run the ball very well this season, and then you augment that with what Josh Allen can bring as a runner, but then obviously in the pass game. They're going to give the Broncos all the Broncos can handle, for sure. So let's not overlook the fact that the Bills scored, 500 and what did they end up? They had 509 plus whatever they had today, right? 16. So 525 points. It's a hell of a season, man. That's a lot of points.
And the way they're doing it is testament. That's the philosophy Joe Brady brought to the table last year when he took over for Ken Dorsey, who, oh, by the way, has been fired as offensive coordinator. in Cleveland. Turning to the run and establishing that was the immediate impact that he showed, and it's come to fruition through the course of now a full regular season. Gives the Bills a lot of momentum and balance heading toward the postseason. The unthinkable is what happens if Josh Allen goes down. No one likes to think about it. It's a subject because of his style of play, maybe less of a topic this year because of that balance and the way he's run the ball this year, protected himself better, all of those things. However, what do you think of Trubisky today? 15 to 21, 101 yards, a touchdown. I mean, whatever. It's the kind of game that it was. I caught a little bit of Steve Tasker on the postgame, because he's taken some lumps, and what do they really have there? I mean, I saw, I was reasonably impressed. A functional quarterback in there. Look, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I think it's just a footnote coming out of the game to something to take note of.
Look, Adam, if Josh Allen gets hurt, they're screwed.
Right.
I don't care what. In the postseason, you're playing the best teams. If he were to get hurt, God forbid, they're done. So we shouldn't even be, being concerned about it. So as for Trubisky today, look, he's a backup quarterback. Made a couple nice throws. I'm not, 15 to 21. There was nothing really high risk in any of those throws. 101 yards. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? Led a couple touchdown drives. Actually led one touchdown drive and then got the freebie after the fumble recovery at the 16. So it was fine. And let's face it, they're also playing the Patriots, who were 4-13 for a lot of reasons. So I'm not going to read too much into what Mitch Trubisky showed today. Good for him that he got out there, got to play a game. He hadn't really played since November of last year for Pittsburgh. I talked to him after, and he was, he knew he could have done better. He wished he had won the game for the Bills, but let's hope we've seen the last of Mitch Trubisky in 2024.
Of course, that goes without saying. Maybe more relevant, and this will be the last point that I have anyway. What do you think of Keon Coleman in this game?
Yeah,
now he was targeted 10 times with 2 receptions.
Yeah. He was a victim of a couple errant throws. One, I think it was at least one by Trubisky, a couple by Mike White. Mike White missed him wide open over the middle late in the game there, when they actually could have done something at the end of the game and maybe gone down. But he also, Adam, this has been a problem for him all year. He does not get separation. He is a contested catch guy. I understand that. But in the NFL, you need to beat guys in coverage. You've got to get separation and give your quarterback a little bit more of a window to throw the ball. And there were a few times today. And Christian Gonzalez, who's their best cornerback, didn't even play in the game. And there were times today where Keon just wasn't winning his routes. There was a play late in the game. It was a deep ball that White threw. It was a double move. He did not beat the guy. The double move did nothing. And that guy was stride for stride with, I don't even know who the DB was. And Keon had no separation. So, look, he's a rookie. He's got a long way to go before he's going to be, anything more than what he is right now, a number 3 type of receiver. They need more from him. He'll make that great play, right? He's got that jumping ability. The play last week in the end zone against the Jets was a perfect example. But they need more as a route runner and as a guy who can get separation and get open. And that was lacking today. That was really a problem for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen his talent. We've also seen his limitations in his rookie year. And I think it's a relevant point to make. All right, Sal Marinara.
They didn't have Khalil Shakir today. He didn't play at all. Obviously, Cooper wasn't even here. He had some other personal matters. So that probably didn't help Keon. But, yeah, they're going to need more from the entire receiving crew. We've talked about Cooper several times, right? They need more from Amari Cooper. I told you, I've been underwhelmed by what he's done since he got here. So starting next week, this group has really got to be a little bit better than they were, certainly down the stretch here, for sure.
All right, Sal Marinara, thank you, sir. That puts us a wrap for us on the regular season. Again, Bills finished 13-4, number 2 seed in the AFC. And as we record this, it is official. Denver, a 38-0 win over the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are coming to Buffalo wildcard weekend. We await the day and time of that game. So, sir, travel safe, man.
Yes. I hope it's better than it was coming down here, man. I went through Syracuse, and it was 1 hour of sheer hell. Maybe some of the worst weather I've ever driven in my life. The guys from Buffalo that drove, and me and Catalana were driving separately, and it was white knuckle. So hoping it's a whole lot better going back tomorrow.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the forecast, but fingers crossed for you. Syracuse is always a challenge when it comes.
Dude,
I went to school there, man.
It was bad.
I made more than a few treks.
That was as bad as I've driven in many years. It was incredible. So, yeah, bad. For a meaningless game, I came here and risked my life.
Right.
For
Get
you
back
people.
safe. Get back safe. And you don't have to write tomorrow, do you?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually going to start writing right now, try to get a jump on it, and then get on the road in the morning.
Okay. All right. And we will have we're going to be lining up some guests from Denver during the course of the week. So we'll come to you next here on Bleav in Bills on Wednesday, hopefully with a guest, and certainly Friday we'll have someone from that market with some real insight. I'm going to reach out to Mike Kliss, who is now with KUSA, the Tegna station there. Long time, Denver Post guy, I think.
Yep. Started out as a writer.
Really.
That's all the great ones do, Adam.
That's right. That's right. All right, man. Be good. Get home safe, and thank you for being with us here on Bleav in Bills.